If someone was to ask you what the most important pieces of gear are for backpacking, what would you say those are? That's what I want to talk about today. Obviously, when you go on a trip, everything you take with you is important, having good food, shelter, those kinds of things. But I feel like there are some essential gear items that are absolutely necessary for safety, as well as just being able to ensure that you have a great experience in the backcountry. Number one on the list, since we are talking about backpacking, is a good, comfortable backpack. I feel like in order for you to enjoy yourself in the backcountry on a backpacking trip, you've got to have a backpack that fits you and is comfortable and carries everything that you need for your trip. There is this mindset right now within backpacking of, I need to go as light as I can possibly go. And that does not always need to be the mindset that you have when you go on a backpacking trip. Take the things that allow you to be comfortable. But if you do not have a backpack that is comfortable, that fits you well to your torso, your hip belt and everything, or you're carrying way too much weight in the sense that 40, 45, 50 pounds of weight, yeah, you are likely not going to have a very good experience in the backcountry. So make sure that for a backpacking trip, the backpack that you are carrying fits you well, it's comfortable, carries exactly what you need so that you are able to go out and just enjoy having a good walk in the backcountry. Now I want to thank MyMedic for sponsoring today's video as we move into the second item that I think is so important for you to carry in your backpacking trips, and that is a good comprehensive first aid kit. Now you can pretty easily put together a build it yourself or do it yourself type of first aid kit, but what I enjoy about the MyMedic kits is you've got a good comprehensive, fairly lightweight first aid kit that is going to help you take care of all of the needs that you would have, basic needs for first aid in the backcountry. And MyMedic is a really cool company. They've put together different types of items that treat and allow you to work with different scenarios. So you've even got really cool blister kits that are specific to managing blisters in the backcountry. So you've got these cool strips of like blister pads and antibiotic ointment that you can put on to help, and you can buy these in this kit or you can also buy them individually. So these are great, super sticky, very helpful for hot spots and such. So a good blister kit is important. But what I enjoy about MyMedic is the basis of how the company came to be. The owners had a tragedy. Somebody lost their life because they didn't have access to a first aid kit. And so the idea that kits are being built and made for vehicles, for hiking and backpacking and everything is so important. And if you don't have a first aid kit with you, you need to carry one, with the idea that hopefully you never have to use it, but everybody's going to trip and fall and scrape their knee. You might end up with a cut from going through bushes or thorns, or you're whittling with a knife and you cut your hand. Like, all sorts of different little accidents can happen, and having a good first aid kit is super important. And so something like this hiker kit from MyMedic is a great starting point. It's got alcohol wipes, band-aids, you've got gauze pads, you've even got things like electrolytes that are in here that are going to help you take care of all different kinds of first aid situations. So I want to thank MyMedic for sponsoring today's video, and please remember to take a first aid kit on your backpacking trips. So I think something we can all agree on is good footwear and proper socks are a super important part of backpacking. I think taking care of your feet is one of the most important things that you can do. So having a good shoe that fits your foot correctly, that is wide enough, has enough space, enough movement, but is still like able to fit snug on your foot. But in addition to a good fitting shoe that makes it so that blisters aren't going to form and stuff, is to have a proper sock. So having a good synthetic or wool sock that's a lightweight sock that is going to help keep your feet dry, but also dry quickly, and is gonna like sit snug on your foot as well and not slip around and slide. That's gonna help prevent blisters and just be a way more comfortable experience. To make sure you're taking care of your feet so you can hike miles without being in a bunch of pain and discomfort from blisters and just poor fitting shoes. The next thing I want to talk about is satellite communication. Now, I carry a Zoleo satellite communication device, and I find that just having that ease of mind, that peace of mind that I can call for rescue if absolutely necessary in an emergency situation, but also just general communication, as well as being able to pull weather reports. Super important to me. And no, is it a requirement for you to go out into the backcountry and have a satellite communication device? Absolutely not. However, I do think that if you are going out often, that it is an important piece of gear that is super helpful to have. Now, besides shelter, I think one of the most critical pieces of gear that you carry with you is trustworthy way to filter or treat your water to make it safe to drink. And so having a good water filter that is well taken care of, that you can trust, that is something that is going to work for whatever water source you might be working through. You may need to use like Aquamirror drops or something, but having that trustworthy way to filter and treat your water to make it safe to drink, so critical and can make or break a backpacking trip. So make sure that you have that trustworthy way to treat your water to make it safe to drink. So the last thing that I want to talk about is having a good quality and well thought out shelter and sleep system for your backpacking trips. After a long day of backpacking, it is so nice to have a good, comfortable sleep system to get a good night rest so that you can rest your body and be ready for the next day. And I think skimping on sleeping is one of the worst things that you could do. So really invest in your sleep system. When you are planning your backpacking trips, have a good sleeping bag that is rated to the temperatures that you would experience. Have a good, comfortable, nice sleeping pad that fits your sleeping style. I think that's super important as well. And then a nice shelter system that works with that sleep system. So make sure it's roomy enough and you've got plenty of space to move around, and that it's going to protect you appropriately from the elements and things that you would experience on your trip. These are critical pieces of gear that provide safety, warmth, comfort, those things that are so critical and important in a backpacking trip. Appreciate you guys watching. If you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Hope you have an awesome day. See you later.